sunny and cool day outside. Inside, things starting to warm up just a little bit as Indiana State gets set to face off its conference rivals from Illinois State. A couple of teams looking to find themselves right now as we take a look at the starting lineups. First of all, for the Sycamores, it'll be Marcus Howard, Lamar Grimes at the guard spot, along with Matt Borman. Conte, Jabril, the team's leading scorer at 17 points a game. Meanwhile, for Illinois State, the guy to watch, Bojang, averaging over 14 points per contest. And we are set to tip it off. Illinois State controls.
Mark, two teams, patient offenses, man defense, and I expect a low-scoring affair for this one.
Indiana State ranking amongst the higher tier teams defensively, statistically anyway, in conference play. Here's Ford out top. Over the wing to Jepson. The guy they're going to try and get off early. Ford has an open look. Rebound, Alexander inside. Got a new shot clock. Ford. Here's Rice.
Very much a patient offense by Illinois State.
Bojang. And the Redbirds miss their first two attempts of the ball game.
You know who the Redbirds remind me of? Offensively, a lot like Temple. Very patient, methodical. They're not afraid to work 25, 30 seconds off the clock.
You mix that in with Indiana State's propensity for tough defense, and it should, as you mentioned, add a low-scoring game, but one never knows. And when you look at what has happened to Illinois State over the course of the year, that you lose your best player, Bryson, how does that have an effect on them the rest of the year?
Mark, Tyrese Bryson to me is like the Michael Jordan of the Missouri Valley Conference. He scores 25 to 30 point game. He was able to get his teammates 15 to 20 points. And maybe the biggest factor is that he's depleted the bench. Jepson has gone to six-man to where now he's got to come in and be a featured weapon. The loss of Bryson has hurt the team in so many different ways. And Mark, if Michael Jordan went down, you know how fast the Wizards would fall.
Oh, they should. And this Illinois State team trying to regroup as we speak. Bryson suffered a season-ending injury, a broken wrist, 22 minutes into the season opener against Weber State. And Bryson is the nation's leading returning scorer. And right now they're petitioning, or in the thought process of petitioning the NCAA to get an extra year of eligibility for Ford. Inside, puts the Redbirds on the board.
Yeah. Hey, Ford. That's a stud right there. That guy would be a sport utility vehicle.
Exploring his way into the lane that time. Birds with a 1-point lead just underway here in Illinois. Inside to Avery, who kicks out to Howard. Howard coming off a season high, walked, and it'll be Illinois State ball. Bit of a change today in the starting lineup. They go with Terrence Avery, the big fella, the 6'9" center, 240 pounds. And Royce Waltman, the fifth-year head coach, 78 and 55 overall at Indiana State. A very humorous, self-depreciating sense of humor from the coach. We had a chance to visit with him. Randy Rice on the board with a bucket.
Very important for the Sycamores to be able to contest the shot. Illinois State, a much better shooting team, but they don't have as much going inside.
Out top. Gorman in the corner. That's a guy that is their marksman. All but a few of his attempts from the field that would come from beyond the arc. Conte out top. 9 seconds on the shot clock. Good defensive sequence so far for the Redbirds. Grimes. And they have to force up a poor shot. And Illinois State's defense stout and staunch on that sequence, Tim.
That's a key possession for Illinois State. They really extended the defense, and that's so important that they don't allow the dribble drive. The reason Illinois State is one of the worst shot blocking teams in the Missouri Valley Conference, only one per game.
They tried to run the alley-oop that time for Bojang, but it was picked off. Grimes back the other way. Illinois State with a 3-point lead.
Very good idea to pressure the freshman point guard on the road.
Howard from the baseline, and he picks up right where he left off in their last game. He had 18 in a loss against Northern Iowa. Hits the 3 there, and we're tied at 4. Rice over the midcourt line. Rice with a bucket in this game, but he's not a guy they look to score much. Ford out top. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Jepson has it knocked away by Howard. And there you see the defensive prowess of Marcus Howard, someone who head coach Royce Waltman calls arguably the best defender in the conference.
There's a lot of good defense played on both squads. Now, one of the surprising things, though, is that both teams have lost their star scorer. Keelan Block for Indiana State, Tyrese Bryson for Illinois State, and has put all of these players in very unfamiliar roles.
And, Tim, there is a good sign for Jepson, who has picked up the scoring role. Spring Valley, Illinois, the 6'2 senior, hits his first bucket, and that's a good sign when he gets off early.
No question. And at shoot-around today, his coach told us that if Jepson starts off shooting the ball well, his defense, his passing, every part of his game gets better.
And Grimes gets the runner in the lane to fall. The freshman out of Chicago is on the board.
In what we expect to be a low-scoring affair, fireworks I would consider for these teams. They don't score points with these.
Both teams shooting a good percentage from the field here in the early going. About 4.5 minutes eclipsed here in the first half. And we have a foul on the play. We're going to take a short break. Illinois State and Indiana State head-to-head in the Missouri Valley Conference. We'll be right back after this.
College hoops tonight on ESPN and ESPN2.
Some situations call for trucks with more power. So engineer Mark Ferrone and the team have made GMC Sierras the most powerful line of pickups in the world. And to help manage all that torque, they've also given Sierra technically advanced braking systems. Mark may be obsessed with power, but he's not crazy. From professional-grade people come professional-grade trucks.
Extra soggy, extra crispy, double squirted for extra gloppiness, double breaded for extra crunchiness. Yummy! Droopy. Lunch?
Get a 12-piece super bucket of KFC Extra Crispy for only $9.99.
It's fast food, and then there's KFC.
Is your dandruff sending the wrong signals?
No.
Get Selsun Power. Doctors recommend Selsun Blue. Man, that dude's butter. Get Selsun Power.
Tell me something good. When you come to Jackson Hewitt for your taxes, you'll get a super fast refund. In fact, our typical refund is over $400 more than the average IRS refund. Call Jackson Hewitt now, 1-800-234-1040.
Extra soggy, extra crispy, double squirted for extra gloppiness, double breaded for extra crunchiness. Yummy! Droopy. Lunch?
Get a 12-piece super bucket of KFC Extra Crispy for only $9.99.
There's fast food, and then there's KFC.
Brian Kenny back here in the studio. College hoops tonight. The big boys going at it. Kansas and UCLA. For the Bruins, Billy Knight will stop and knock this down and keep the lead right now. The final half-minute play, about a 7-point game for UCLA in Kansas. And this now a final, number 4 Mississippi State losing to Ole Miss 66-50.
All right, back here, look at the Big 12 standings, and South Carolina. West Plains Junior College. Someone's been playing basketball for 6.5, 7 years now.
You know how he got the nickname Boo?
He scared somebody.
No. I'm sure he scares a lot of people in the paint, but his high school coach couldn't pronounce his name, so he said, "You are now Boo."
And we've bailed out too and shortened Babukar to Boo as well. Indiana State with a 1-point lead. 5 minutes eclipsed here in the first half of play. Here's Howard out top. Gets into the lane and one. It'll count. Marcus Howard going to the bucket. He'll have the opportunity to complete a 3-point play.
Indiana State, they are a passing game team, but they do it much different than Bobby Knight. They run a pick and roll, and that's something that the general would never do. The reason that Knight doesn't run passing game this way is because he says it has 2 players involved in the play and 3 stand and watch. But for the Sycamores this year, they've struggled so much to get dribble drive into their offense. It's something that Waltman is trying to implement into their attack.
Yeah, one of the adjustments that he has made, especially in light of the fact that they have lost Block their top offensive threats are Keelan Block on the bench. Be back in a couple weeks. Bojang inside gets the little baby hook to fall. And he has 3 in the game. Illinois State with a bucket. Both teams coming off of disappointing losses in their last games respectively. Here's Howard. Inside, Avery showing a very soft touch.
They can get that anytime, Mark. Illinois State has no shot blocking, and Indiana State has superior size and strength.
Look at the discrepancy inside for both teams. Bojang with an easy bucket that time. He has 5 now. They threw it over the top nicely. Drives back quickly to Avery. And that was very easy. Too easy for head coach Tom Richardson of Illinois State.
And Coach Richardson alluded to the fact that shoot around. The #1 weakness of his team this year is they give up layup after layup. And we're starting to see that happen.
They surrender a 50% field goal percentage defensively to their opponents. Much too high. Jepson missing from outside. Ford with the rebound. Jedrick Ford, the 6'5" senior, is on the board. And it's a 2-point game once again. Ball pressure out front by Randy Rice. Ford knocked it away. Avery feeling it. Reed with the rebound. Casey Reed is fouled by Jabril.
The numbers that we're really going to keep a close eye on. It's not field goal defense, it's rebounding, because when you see these teams are defending very well, and they're going to have a lot of missed shots in this game. So who can go ahead and clean up the glass is going to be the team that wins, and Tom Richardson feels that his team's doing a much better job.
Illinois State averaging 30 rebounds per game, and Indiana State averaging 35 per contest.
Indiana State shooting a whopping 75% from the field right now.
Ford off the mark. Here's Grimes. Indiana State coming off a very disheartening loss in the last game against Northern Iowa at the bucket, and a nice jump shot that time. Sams on the board. A freshman getting a lot more time this year, much like Howard did a year ago, and it helped Howard's development.
Now, Sams is a unique player because as a power forward, how nice to have the luxury item of a guy that can step out and make 3-pointers.
Ford's going to take a breather, and Williams comes in for him. Dirk Williams, a big fella, 6'8" sophomore.
It's again very good defense by Indiana. As I watch them play, they remind me a lot of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They play low-scoring, defense-oriented games.
It's got to be ugly to make it good, huh?
Yeah, and that's what Tony Tungy's hoping for today.
Needs a win. Norman, meanwhile, kicks it back out top. Grimes, the freshman, drives. Strong rebound by Boo Bojang. Vince Green in the ball game, running the point now for the Redbirds.
Their motion offense really rely on spacing. Media impression of the Redbirds, they pass, they cut, and they're very much a perimeter oriented.
Dirk Williams fouled inside, and Illinois State trying to snap their 6-game losing streak against Indiana strength. Boo will have something to say about it before it's done.
Okay, good news. That broadband thing we all want? Got it figured out. Honey, you call the phone company. Tracy, you're digging the trench, shovels in the garage. I'm going up on the roof to assess the satellite possibilities. Timmy, check out these schematics. Appreciate it. Let's go! Broadband!
We know how you feel, and that's why Circuit City offers one-stop high-speed internet access. You can find what's available where, compare options, and arrange installation. Circuit City, we're with you.
Yeah, we can get broadband to the city.
Some situations call for trucks with more power. So engineer Mark Ferrone and the team have made GMC Sierras the most powerful line of pickups in the world. And to help manage all that torque, they've also given Sierra technically advanced braking systems. Mark may be obsessed with power, but he's not crazy. From professional-grade people come professional-grade trucks.
Brian Kenny here in the studio. This one is now over. Kansas and UCLA, and the Bruins holding off a team that hadn't lost since its opening game back at the Maui Invitational. Bruins bouncing back from a loss to USC. Matt Barnes led the club with 27. Mark?
All right, the Sycamore is up 17-13 with 11:37 to play in the first half. Folks, tomorrow, ESPN, a full afternoon of college hoops for you. 2 Eastern and ACC showdown as Tony Akins and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket host the dangerous backcourt of Dixon and Blake. And the number 4 Maryland Terps. And at 4 Eastern, Eric Channing in New Mexico State visit Derek Robinson in Western Kentucky. College basketball on ESPN.
Maryland is loaded. They've got everything. Inside, outside, rebound, top 10 defense in America.
I love their backcourt. Steve Blake out of my neck of the woods down in Miami Lakes, Florida.
I think we've got a little big time Duke game coming up later this week.
Yep. Here's Grimes going to the bucket. Grimes struggling so far from the field. His last 2 attempts he's missed. Bojang chasing down his own rebound. Williams hesitated just a bit too much. Way off the mark is Bronin. It's been a real half-court game, something that I guess you would have expected coming in.
Well, and also these teams have been pretty effective offensively. If you make a basket, your opponent has to take the ball out of bounds and not play against that set D.
Berry way off the mark. Both teams going cold of late.
Notice the double team in the low post. Bojang, the only hope for low post scoring for the Redbirds.
Alexander over to Green, who didn't call bank, but he'll take it anyway. Vince Green, the sophomore out of Chicago, goes glass.
When you're shooting what the squad has all year, doesn't matter off the glass or straight in, they'll take it.
Illinois State shooting 43% on the season. They have had to revamp a big part of their offense after losing Bryson. Asked Coach Richardson, he said they have reduced their package some 40 to 50% almost. Avery inside. And the big fella is out of blocks today, folks, getting the start. And Avery is 3 of 4 from the field. Total of 6 points.
Avery, a Big Ten guy, originally played for Kevin O'Neill at Northwestern. Spent 1 year there. He's got a Big Ten body.
Bojang taking him outside, but off the mark. Here's Berry back the other way. 9:10 to play in the first half. Indiana State leading Illinois State by 3.
They need to try to get Conte a touch. He's been completely uninvolved offensively.
But not Avery. He's flashing nicely to the mid-post area, Tim, and he has 8 points. He's the game's leading scorer. And Illinois State and Tom Richardson call a timeout as they trail by 5 points here at Redbird Arena.
Defensively, Bojang is down in the low post. Now watch, they're going to bring the double team down and try to make him a passer. Now, Bojang told me that he really relishes his new role of being the point center. What he does is he gets the ball and he's able to involve his teammates. It's a very unique ability for a big man to be able to draw the double team and get his friends involved. And there's Avery, power package down low. Unique opportunity for him to make some things happen as a starter. He has been their leading scorer and rebounder, but he's been coming off the bench until this game.
A real enigma of sorts for head coach Royce Waltman and his coaching staff. There are times where the light bulb really goes off and he becomes a force for them inside. And there are other times where you really don't notice much of him out there.
Mark, neat story. 2 months, once the season is over, he is going to take a job in a prison as a counselor.
Wow. He'll be running into some tough dudes, I'm sure, there.
Yeah, he looks like he can handle it. He has been a force at both ends of the court.
Matisse Haywood in the ball game, running the point now for Indiana State. Little pick and roll.
This doesn't look like a Bobby Knight passing game, does it?
No, it doesn't. They try to feed it inside to Avery, but it's knocked away nicely. Here's Green. On the wing to Alexander. Greg Alexander's been relatively quiet today, conspicuous by his silence. It's a double-digit score that goes to Stradmark, who hits his first shot of the game. Andy Stradmark, a 6'11 junior out of Illinois. And it's a three-point ball game. Gorman kicks it out to Howard. Avery with the rebound inside, and he's fouled. So Avery active, both looking to score and on the glass.
See, I don't like the offensive philosophy right now by Indiana State. They're stagnant, and they're shooting too many jump shots versus a non-shot blocking team.
Timeout on the floor. Indiana State leading by 3. This young man, Bryson, contemplating his future. We'll tell you a little bit more about the clipped wings of his when we come back.
Get ready to go in. Mega Movies on in-demand pay-per-view. With digital cable, the biggest movies every half hour at the touch of your remote.
This is where I start to have fun.
In-demand pay-per-view. Order a Mega Movie tonight.
From AT&T Broadband.
Hey, we're here with a bunch of friends in our racing limo to test the power of interstate batteries. So come on, check it out. Anyone for a power shake? We've got them.
Hey, this baby's cranking out some power.
Look, we're on. We're doing pretty good.
Interstate batteries, power fast, built to last.
Hey, Bobby, we just won first, second, third place.
The object is to get it in the net. No, the object is to get it in this net.
The Bud Light Quarter Bouncers Tournament. Enter at local retailers in select cities for the chance to win a trip to the national finals hosted by ESPN's Trey Wingo and catch Big Monday on ESPN.
Now, see, I'm a great coach.
So maybe right now, I don't buy the big car, ain't got the mansion or the lead jet yet, but I ball, and I ball to live.
Down Low, Life in the D-League. Premieres Sunday, January 20th at 8 p.m. on ESPN.
Well, I stole the ball, and when I got the ball, I turned around. I mean, I seen a wide open lane. By the time I got to the lane, there was a guy getting ready to take a charge. So I tried to change my shot, but I came down wrong. I was in the air, awkward, and I came down. And then I thought I was gonna fall on my face, so I tried to put my hand down. And I came down, all my weight came down on my right arm.
Bryson telling us before the game he knew right away that it was something bad that had happened to that wrist. He's going to get the cast off in a few days, and he'll start undergoing rehab. Who does he remind you of, Tim?
The guy that jumps out to me is Troy Bell from BC. He's a small guard, a big scorer, maybe more of a tweener in terms of his NBA potential, but the big problem, dislocated wrist. He's a right-handed shooter. I'm not sure if he's ever going to be able to get the strength or the range of motion to get back to where he was.
He was telling us that the surgery went as well as it could be expected to go, but of course there are going to be the obvious question marks about a full recovery. Spending a lot of his time right now just hanging around the team, and says he's going to start doing some cardio work soon and rehab that wrist as much as he can.
Yeah, but don't worry. You say, well, how can he go to school and work on his classwork? He's a lefty writing-wise. He shoots with his right hand. He writes with his left hand. He's only 8 credits away and will graduate on time.
Not able to use that excuse about the dog eating his homework or having a broken wrist, huh?
The dog ate my homework, and I broke my wrist.
Alexander looking inside. Illinois State trailing by 3 with possession. Here's Rice out top to the wing. And it's picked off nicely by Marcus Howard, a shrewd defender.
Easy straight.
There's that on-the-ball screen that they've been doing today. Cross court to Berry. Nice rebound inside by the tall Timber. Here's Rice.
One of the problems we've seen from Illinois State throughout this season, they're prone to droughts, and they're in the middle of one right now, Mark.
Folks, don't forget, you can order ESPN Full Court now and see over 450 college basketball games this season. Watch your favorite team or conference no matter where you live. See the games you want by ordering ESPN Full Court today. Inside, Berry with a strong Bogart move to the bucket.
What was that, a Bogart move?
Bogart, tough. Old school hoops. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, this is, you know, this game is old school. This is one of those games, you know, pass out the tight shorts and the old Chuck Taylor canvas, tennis shoes.
I'm Mark Jones along with Tim McCormick here at Redbird Arena in Normal, Illinois. Illinois State trailing Indiana State 23-18. A couple of teams trying to find their way right now in the conference. A win for either team could really give them subsequent confidence and propel them to better things ahead. A loss could be somewhat demoralizing too.
And this is important for the Sycamores. They're 0-6 on the season on the road. They've got a nice little lead right now.
Strandmark with good help side defense coming over to make the block. Big Fellow's been active at both ends.
Strandmark offers the best size off the bench. One of the very few block shots you're going to see from them. Made a huge contribution in their game versus Illinois earlier this season. And ever since then, he's been a strong factor. Really has bumped up his confidence level.
Yeah, if he could just stay healthy. He's been battling a stress fracture in his right leg on and off.
And that's why I worry, you know, Chris Marcus from Western Kentucky, top 20 team, and they're wanting to get him back at the end of the month. You always worry about big fellas when they have that stress fracture in their foot.
You mentioned Western Kentucky, and when you look at the Missouri Valley Conference and one of the quality wins this conference has this year, Creighton defeated Western Kentucky earlier this year when the Hilltoppers were ranked nationally. Look at the turnover situation.
Typically, you'd say 9 turnovers in a half. That's a pretty low number.
Right.
But I disagree with that because these are not real great pressure defensive teams. That's a big turnover number.
Good backdoor and hoop by Greg Alexander. Getting on the board for the first time today. And a quick timeout called by Royce Waltman of Indiana State. As Illinois State cuts the Sycamores lead to 3 with 4:42 to play in the first.
You know, the benefit, look at the spacing that you've got in the passing game. You're going to get the backdoor cut and the nice look off. This is a classic play that creates the spacing. Now, back screen, head up, bounce pass. If that pass is made with a chest pass, it gets tipped.
Greg Alexander with a nice finish underneath. Hey, folks, don't forget, once again, order ESPN's Full Court now and see over 450 college basketball games this season. Watch your favorite team or conference no matter where you live, no matter where you are. See the games you want by ordering ESPN Full Court today.
You know the great thing about the dish? That
sitting on the couch.
Yeah, well, it's the fact that over the course of the year, I've had a chance to watch 3 of Indiana State games and 1 of the Illinois State games. I mean, typically you wouldn't get a chance to watch these teams on a regular basis.
Taking channel surfing to a new level is Tim McCormick. 4:32 to play in the first half. Grimes inbounding. And a foul on the play against Greg Alexander, who reached in. Fouling Matt Berry. Indiana State coming off a pretty good offensive showing in their last game against Northern Iowa. They had 4 players in double figures. The 70 points scored in that game was one of the most productive offensive games of the season. So far, with 4:31 to play, they've scored 23. Out of bounds, it'll be Sycamore ball.
Pre-game expectations, this had the makings of being a 50-point ball game. You have two teams that like to work the clock. They execute their offense and seldom take bad shots. And 23-20, it looks like it's going to be right on.
In the paint, Indiana State getting the job done. Travel against the freshman Lamar Grimes. Grimes struggled a little bit at the end of the game against Northern Iowa on Thursday night, and a part of himself blamed himself for the team's loss and their bad fortunes at the end in a crucial turnover that led to their defeat. But he played a solid game for some 38.5 minutes before that. Here's Ford out top, partially blocked nicely by Conte. Bojang and one.
Bojang has really expanded his game. Big part of that is the fact that Tyrese Bryson, who was taking a strong majority of the shots, is out for the year, so they've become an interior team. Notice the emphasis of the defense. He's got two men coming all the time. And he told me a story. Let me tell you a little bit about Bojang. He spent some time with the NBA stud power forward Ben Wallace of the Pistons. Said that he spent 2 weeks at his house this summer, played on his summer league team. I said, well, what'd you take away from the experience? He said, Ben Wallace has the coolest remote control cars I've ever seen. He's got about 10 of them. And all the time we'd go out in the backyard, we'd be driving those things around. Oh, that's great. That's what you learn from the NBA.
Well, Tim, right now, Boo is driving the train for the Redbirds. They tied it up at 23 when we come back.
Tell me something good. When you come to Jackson Hewitt for your taxes, you'll get a super fast refund. In fact, our typical refund is over $400 more than the average IRS refund. Call Jackson Hewitt now, 1-800-234-1040.
Sweeten up your chill time with this real sweet deal from Domino's. Buy a large one-topping Domino's pizza for $9.99 and get a free order of warm Domino's Center Sticks. Hey, the freer the sweeter. Call Domino's now and order a large one-topping Domino's pizza for $9.99. You'll get a free order of oven-fresh Domino's Center Sticks, golden brown and perfect for dipping in our sweet, creamy icing. The party gets sweeter when Domino's comes through. Call now. Get the door. It's Domino's.
Winter X Games 6 in Aspen, sponsored by Right Guard Extreme Sport, begins February 1st on ESPN.
Dave Chappelle here. I'm setting this guy up on a blind date to show that Right Guard Extreme Sport works under the most extreme conditions. Ladies! You gotta get a number, dog. See? Extreme protection against odor and wetness. Love hurts. Goes on clear, doesn't quit. You guys really hitting it off.
Right Guard Extreme Sport. Get extreme. Get Right Guard.
Call us! Edwin will.
Thank you.
Brian Kenny here in the studio. Iowa State has won 19 straight at home in the Big 12, taking on Oklahoma State here with a 5-point lead. Melvin Sanders, though, from 3, so gets a little closer. Tight game in the first half. A lot of time left, Mark.
All right, Iowa State trailing by 1 there, and Tom Richardson in his 3rd year as head coach, he said a win today for his team would mean a lot. He thinks that a win today would be worth about 2 weeks' worth of confidence. Should they lose, nobody knows where they might go after that.
That's like E equals MC squared. A win today equals 2 weeks of happiness. Talked about 6'1" point guards. How you like Jake Sullivan, Maurice Baker from Iowa State, Oklahoma State? They remind me a little bit as well of Tyrese Bryson.
Right. Outside, Sams gets his 2nd jumper of the day to fall. And Sams has 5 in the ball game.
Gerard Adler into the game for Indiana State. Little bench size coming in.
Jepson off the flare, goes baseline. Redbirds moving around nicely. Ford. And that's been a bit of a problem this year with Ford, forcing offense at times. That time coming up just a little bit short. It's been a story of 2 different first halves almost for Illinois State. 6 of 12 to start off and then cooling off a little bit at 4 of 11.
Want to keep an eye on the rebound battle because we expect a lot of missed shots in this game. The Sycamores of Indiana State have done a solid job controlling the glass.
Here's Howard. Grimes, not much of a three-point shooter. Sams with the rebound, back out to Grimes. Sams missing. Here come the Redbirds. Here's Rice. Good rotation on the ball. Alexander missing, though. Williams. Alexander with another rebound. Alexander, hey, 3 for a quarter, why not? They got 3 cracks and made the last one count. And we have a double foul, it looks like, on the play. Folks, coming up on the Jackson Hewitt halftime report. College hoops tonight. The Bruins upset number 3 Kansas. Kelvin Sampson taking on Bobby Knight. A great coaching matchup there, and the rest of the top 25 news, scores, and highlights coming up at halftime. Indiana State leading by 1, looking for their first road victory of the season. They're 0 for 6 on the road so far this year.
Royce Waltman is really struggling with the same problem that his counterpart on the other bench, Tom Richardson, has had. Both of them have lost their top scorers. I can't stress enough how that affects your team. You know, not only do they lose their top scorer, but you're forced to take your top bench guy, your 6th man, put him into the lineup, and then you lose all of your bench scoring as well.
Guys are playing roles they're not familiar with right now. Rice. Williams missing the tip. Good hustle, but nothing to show for it if you're Illinois State. But they retain possession of the loose ball.
Oh, and that would have been a huge basket. Any time that 2 tortoise-like teams, pace-wise, can get something going in the speed game, boy, it gets you feeling good. It gets the blood flowing a little bit.
Well, if this was a dance, they wouldn't be doing the running man. They'd be doing a slow bump and grind waltz.
I've never heard of a bump and grind waltz.
Here's Rice. Ojang, under 2 minutes to play in the half. Out of bounds, it'll stay with the Redbirds.
Avery made an interesting comment alluding to the Redbird scouting report. He said, playing against Boo, he goes to his left almost every time, and he's trying to take that away. Bojanks, he scored some points, but he has not been as fluid as we would have expected.
Well, you mentioned his size. Take the opportunity now to talk about his weight a little bit. He said one of his goals in the future is to increase the size of his waistline a little bit and his musculature. He is reed thin, listed at 210. A nice hoop that time by Jepson inside.
He doesn't hit Burger King and McDonald's, though. That would certainly help.
And for one of the few times today, the deafening silence here at Redbird Arena has been broken. Haywood stopped up. Out top to Howard.
Who's going to create offense for the Sycamores?
Howard tries to and finds it.
Oh, him.
It's a 2, and Marcus Howard much better, coaching staff says, when he doesn't always try to create his own shot. He's good, Tim, they say, when he drives into the paint and then tries to score as opposed to making it on the perimeter.
Yeah, maybe their most improved player last year during the regular season averaged 4 points per game. In the tournament, run up to 10.
Bojang and 1. Babacar Bojang will have an opportunity for the 3-point play. He has 10 in the ball game.
Strong delivery. Lock and lob went up strong. And Bojang is an interesting player. He has the long wingspan. But usually, big guys, they might be a little passive under there. But the first thing that jumps out at me, this guy gets big, he spreads out, and demands the ball like, you better give it to me. I've got some work to do down here.
Meanwhile, for Sams, that is his 3rd foul. And we are under a minute to play in the first half.
Avery's been a bit quiet on the offensive end.
Made a lot of noise early. Rice comes up with a strip. And Avery says, hey, look what I found. That's a room service layup.
Boy, what a beautiful delivery by Williams. It was almost perfect except for one small thing.
And Richardson, meanwhile, Tim, on the sidelines, imploring the officials for a foul on the play.
I think it should have been a foul because there's going to be contact on every single play. But if it causes the turnover, you have to give the guy the whistle.
Avery, after that bucket, now with 10 in the ball game. 29 seconds to play in the first half. We are knotted at 30. Illinois State coming into this game at 5-10. Rice at the line to shoot. Bandy Rice out of Springfield, Illinois, coming in averaging 4.1 points per game, a 76% free throw shooter. Makes the first of two.
You know, I'm curious about the last play. Notice the contact. He's tripped up, threw the pass, and was intercepted by Avery. That's where I see the contact caused the turnover, and he should have got the whistle.
Avery's not going to question it, and neither will Indiana State. And Illinois State missing Rice missing the second of two, but Illinois State as a team, Tim, a very good free throw shooting team at 73% on the season.
And if this game, Mark, gets down to a free throw shooting contest, Illinois State's the best. Indiana State is the worst. They only shoot 62% from the foul line, and they're going to go for one final attempt here to end the first half.
Shot clock is off. 22 seconds to play in the first half.
Have to believe that Bojang or Jepson will be targeted at some point.
Here's Rice out top with 10 to play. Rice in the lane, nicely hanging. Two cracks and the third one goes. Bojang gets the tip at the buzzer to give Illinois State the lead at the half. Boo Bojang with 13 points in the first 20 minutes of play. The star continuing to emerge in a season that is still not lost for the Redbirds. They're not booing, they're saying Bojang. Let's go back to the studio.
I don't think a lot of people will be confused on that. But, Mark, thank you very much. At the half now, Jackson Hewitt halftime report. Let's get you started in the Big 12. Mentioned this a few moments ago. A win here would set a Big 12 record for consecutive home wins in conference. Iowa State and Oklahoma State. Pick up the highlights. Oklahoma State down by 6, but Maurice Baker knocks down the 3. We got a 3-point game. It's still early. Still in the first. Oklahoma State now down by 7. Victor Williams, the steal, laid it in. It's a 5-point game. Iowa State up by 1 a little later on. Ricky Morgan, Tyree Pearson inside. Nicely done. And Cyclones up yet again. Oklahoma State staying in it. Victor Williams driving, nicely done, puts that down. Now we got a 5-point game, less than a minute to go in the first half. Let's drop in on Auburn and Alabama. Maurice Williams drives in, that won't go, but inside Terrence Mead lays it up and in. So Alabama, number 15, with a 6-point lead against its hated rival. Matt Barnes had 34 against USC. How would he do against Big Bad Kansas?
ESPN2's exclusive presentation of NCAA basketball is brought to you by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light.
I'm gonna be there, girl. I'm gonna make it feel alright. I'm gonna hold you in my arms and love you through the darkest night. I'm gonna tell you that I need you, baby, for the rest of my life.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light.
What a day.
The seating capacity of a minivan.
Where is it? I don't see it.
Capabilities of an SUV. The smooth ride of a luxury car. All in one, totally innovative package. The all-new Buick Rendezvous.
I guess we're not in Kansas anymore.
Buick Rendezvous. It's all good.
Are you Tiger Woods?
The promotion. A new title. A
bigger paycheck, better days ahead. Your hard work paid off, and so did that extra confidence from getting rid of your gray hair with Just for Men hair color. Its vitamin formula rejuvenates your hair and energizes you with a natural look in 5 easy minutes. When you feel confident, it shows. Just for Men, the Rejuvenator.
Millions have already experienced the fantasy. Now, it's your turn. 2 heroes. One hope.
I did it.
This is it. Final Fantasy X. Rated T for teen. Only on PlayStation 2.
Swear soft.
Let's belt it out for your Pittsburgh Steelers!
I don't care what stadium you work for, all right? If you want to write a check for who let the dogs out, I'm still going to need to see some ID.
Next time, use the Visa check card instead of cash or checks. It'll get you in, out, and on with life.
Nothing like the open road.
Yeah, too bad we're out of gas.
Ooh, somebody's coming. Hey, buddy, how about a lift?
No riders. Not even for $1? $1 don't buy much, mister.
It does if you dial 10-10-220.
Yeah, all calls up to 20 minutes are 99 cents.
Yep, and 7 cents a minute after 20.
20 minutes or 99 cents? You bought yourself a ride. You gotta sit in the back.
Great trip. Oh, be quiet.
Dial 10-10-220.
This halftime report is presented by Jackson Hewitt. Come into any one of Jackson Hewitt's 3,300 locations today and get more in return.
3-point game at the half. Illinois State leading Indiana State. A lot to talk about this afternoon. A fun afternoon of basketball in the NCAA. Nation's longest home winning streak with a wild finish. That streak on the line. Bob Knight on the road in the Big 12. But first, this one. Kansas hasn't lost since its opening game of the season. 13 straight wins. Roy Williams has a special reverence for the legendary John Wooden, and he gets a trip to Pauley Pavilion. UCLA off at loss to USC at the Forum Thursday night, but bouncing back here up by 11 as Matt Barnes steals the ball. Barnes going up. Who's cooking steak? Bruins by 11 at the half. Barnes with 27. Kirk Heinrich for 3. Kansas not done. It's a 4-point game. Later, Bruins up by 6. 7 minutes to go. Jason Capono knocks down the jumper. The Bruins withstand the charge and win the game, beating Kansas 87-77. Barnes again with 27 points in this one. It breaks a 3-game losing streak against the Jayhawks. Drew Gooden had 22 in the losing effort. Start of a tough stretch for Bob Knight and 13-1 Texas Tech going against Oklahoma at Oklahoma. Andre Emmett put that part of a 12-0 run. Oklahoma up by 14, though. Hollis Price for 3, his 6th of the day. Oklahoma up 76-53. Jason Dietrich thumps that down. Oklahoma spreading it out. Kelvin Sampson gets the win over Bob Knight, 98-72. Right now, with less than 4 minutes to go, Missouri leads Kansas State at 79-64. North Carolina coming off one of its worst losses in school history, playing Virginia. Roger Mason Jr. bank shot. It's a 2-point game. Virginia with the lead. Still a 2-point game. Chris Williams driving, puts that up nicely done. It's a 4-point game. Matt Doherty, upset. What a rough season. Ties the school record with 5 home losses this year. And it is early. Roger Mason Jr. had 18 points. Tar Heels 1-3 in the ACC. Wake Forest over Clemson 96-55. 5th straight win for Wake Forest. Kentucky and South Carolina pick it up with less than a minute to go. South Carolina up by 3. Tayshaun Prince to Cliff Hawkins. Hawkins driving. Kentucky within 1. Final seconds. Still a 1-point game. Hawkins. Tough shot, and it goes. Kentucky takes the lead. Kentucky would hold on to edge South Carolina 51-50. Gerald Fitch led Kentucky with 11 points, 11th straight win over South Carolina. for Kentucky. And Ole Miss over Mississippi State, 66-59. Rebels have won 9 of 10, and it's the 6th straight home win against a ranked opponent for Ole Miss. Florida and Vandy stay in the SEC now. First half, Florida leading this. Matt Bonner with a 3 at the buzzer. 17-point Gator lead at the half. Second half, the foul. Scott Hundley. Vanderbilt gets within 10 after the free throw. It's a 9-point game here, but David Lee, a tough shot. And Florida does hang on, wins this one 95-85. Bonner had 28 points, 12 rebounds. That's 13 straight wins now for Florida. When we come back, 53 straight wins at home for Michigan State. Would that streak last? We'll be back with highlights.
Tell me something good.
When you come to Jackson Hewitt for your taxes, you'll get a super fast refund. In fact, our typical refund is over $400 more than the average IRS refund. Call Jackson Hewitt now, 1-800-234-1040.
The new 255 horsepower Infiniti i35 with the most powerful engine in its class. Don't blink. More power, more grace, more I. The new i35 from Infiniti.
It's Too Good to Be True month at Sonic, featuring our brown bag special with 2 made-to-order Sonic burgers, 2 orders of fries or tater tots, and 2 drinks. Just $5.99 this month only.
A veil of mystery, a deadly secret, a dark power. Now, 2 men have been sent to uncover the truth. Universal Pictures is proud to present the stunning cinematic vision that took Europe by storm. Discover the secret of the Brotherhood. Brotherhood of the Wolf. Rated R. Now playing in select cities.
Moo. Now's a great time to go 1-800-GATEWAY because right now you can save $100 on great PCs like the Gateway 300S desktop. It comes loaded with an Intel Celeron processor and CD burner for only $7.99 after a $100 mail-in rebate, or check out the lightweight Solo 1400 notebook. It's only $9.99 after a $100 mail-in rebate. These amazing deals won't last long, so call 1-800-GATEWAY. Hurry, offer ends soon.
It's 3:30. We're gonna be late.
Grandpa, it's storming outside.
Unbutton it. Let's go. What are you doing? Take the shotgun.
It's starting to hail. Maybe we should turn around.
Let's keep moving. Oh! We're already late.
Oh, yes. It's bingo tonight, people.
Making it to bingo. On the wings of Goodyear.
Jackson Hewitt, halftime report. Brian Kenny here with you. 33-30 at the half. Illinois State leading the Sycamores. We got a 3-point game, and we also have the nation's longest home winning streak on the line. Michigan State 0-2 in the Big Ten, but the defending conference champion, and it's 53 straight at home. Their last loss, March of 1999, against Purdue. Taking on Wisconsin. Let's get right to crunch time. Watch very carefully. Tied at 62. Less than 30 seconds to go. Freddie Owens drives and hits 64-62 Wisconsin. 0.2 of a second left, and Galvin Darvin puts it up and in. Michigan State wins, but hold on. When there's less than 0.3 of a second left, there has to be a tip in play to prevent some home cooking on the timer. Bo Ryan says it was not tipped, it was held, and in fact it was, and even Michigan State had to admit that was the case, 64-63. So the nation's longest home winning streak now, Detroit at 37 in a row. Also in the Big Ten, it's Illinois big over Michigan now by 21. A lot of time left in the second half. Illinois has won 25 straight at home. In the Big East, Georgetown annihilates Boston College. Georgetown snaps a 4-game losing streak. 43 points for BC. Matches an all-time low at the Conti Forum. Miami and Virginia Tech. It's the Hurricanes with a 6-point lead with a minute and change left to go in that game. Cincinnati and Houston. Now, the first half, Steve Logan puts this up top, little alley-oop. Eventually, there it is. Emmanuel McElroy, the foul. He made the free throw. Got a big lead for the Bearcats, 72-51. That's now over at Conference USA. College Hoops tonight will we'll give you a brief glimpse of all these games, but College Hoops tonight will have much more. Bill Pito, Digger Phelps. They'll break down that wild finish with Michigan State. Much more on the Jayhawks and the Bruins. That's tonight, 12:30 Eastern Time. And Billy Pito and Digger Phelps. We're back to normal, Illinois State and Indiana State, right after this. Enjoy.
The Chicago Wolves continue their inaugural season in the American Hockey League. Saturday is Hawaiian night when the Wolves take on the Cleveland Barons at 7. The first 5,000 fans will receive Wolves visors, courtesy of Clark. Sunday afternoon, it's the Wolves and the Manitoba Moose at 4. The first 5,000 fans will receive Wolves posters, courtesy of AT&T Broadband. Check out our A game. Call 1-800-THE-WOLVES.
ATA's Winter Wonder Sale. Great low fares to the places you want to go. There's no better time than right now to make your winter and spring travel plans. You can't afford to miss this sale. Save even more when you book online at ATA.com. Better hurry, the sale ends January 14th, 2002. And check out our Florida Super Sale fares. Call 1-800-I-FLY-ATA today.
Tell me something good.
When you come to Jackson Hewitt for your taxes, you'll get a super fast refund. In fact, our typical refund is over $400 more than the average IRS refund. Call Jackson Hewitt now, 1-800-234-1040.
The new 255 horsepower Infiniti i35 with the most powerful engine in its class. Don't blink. More power, more grace, more I. The new i35 from Infiniti.
Now get the Wall Street Journal delivered for 8 weeks at just 38 cents a day, a 50% savings.
Call 800-454-6500. That's 800-454-6500 for the Wall Street Journal.
ESPN2's exclusive presentation of NCAA basketball is brought to you by 989 Sports, only on PlayStation and PlayStation 2.
Everyone to Redbird Arena here in Normal, Illinois. At halftime, the Redbirds lead the Sycamores 33-30. I'm Mark Jones along with Tim McCormick. Tim, coming into the game, Indiana State averaging 40% from the field on the season. They shoot 54% in the first half. Why are they down?
Well, they actually did a great job on both ends of the court. It was on the offensive glass. They were killed a 7-rebound deficit. Indiana State, good New Year's resolution by Terrence Avery. He said, I'm going to start and I'm going to dominate the lane. Here he got the late gift that led to his points. He had 10 points in the first half. And there's Howard, the long jump shot. Bit of a surprise. They shot the ball very well. And for the Redbirds, their attack is powered by the athleticism of Boo Bojang. 13 points, 5 rebounds, and the offensive rebound here was really a big surprise. It led to 12 offensive rebounds, and that's the reason that they're winning.
Back to the action, start of the second half. It'll be Indiana State ball. Gorman will inbounds. One of the interesting numbers coming out of the first half of play also for Indiana State on their side of the ledger. Conte, big guy in the middle, number 3, 0 for 0 from the field, 0 points. And as I say that, he goes to work at the beginning of the second half, Tim.
Part of the reason is the adjustment. Avery and Conte are both centers, and they're not used to playing together.
Grimes gets a hold of the loose ball, corralling it. There's Howard. Avery, and one.
Big advantage at the power positions for Indiana State. They're getting the message very clear from their coach at halftime. We must go inside. Illinois State doesn't have the size. They don't have the shot blocking to deal with us. And there's Conte. That's a very good sign if you're a Sycamore fan.
Conte, number 2 on the school's all-time block shots list. Coming off a good game against Northern Iowa, where he scored 17, but just 2 so far in the game today.
Let me lay it out this way. Indiana State has 2 studs. Illinois State only has 1. If Indiana State goes inside, they have a big advantage.
In a game where offense is really at a premium right now. Indiana State shooting 57.7% from the field today. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Rice out top. Good defense by the Sycamores. Jepson forces one up. And it's a shot clock violation. That was a bad sequence offensively right from the beginning, it seemed like, Tim.
I heard the comment from several people around the Illinois State team that, you know, the seniors, Ford and Rice and Jepson, have not picked up where Bryson left off. There's a nice steal and a little offense by Rice. But in their defense, they've spent the last 3.5 years being complementary players to Tyrese Bryson, and now all of a sudden you just don't turn it on and become a featured weapon.
Unusual roles for some of the seniors on that Redbird team. Here's Howard running the offense inside to Conte.
Right. Good to see him aggressive.
Looks like they're making a concerted effort to go to him here early in the second half.
Today at shoot-around, Conte was telling me a little bit about his future plans. You know what he wants to be someday?
What's that?
Athletic director. And so I said, all right, let me put you in the role of athletic director. You're the AD, and Royce Waltman is your coach, and he's 3-10. What do you tell him? He just kind of laughed, and he said, Coach, your job is safe.
Uh-oh, that's the old vote of confidence, it sounded like to me.
So he's already got the political correct answer down.
Well, we're going to take a short break. Illinois State leading by a single when we come back to Normal, Illinois.
ESPN and ESPN2, home of the NCAA Women's Basketball Championship.
Extra soggy, extra crispy, double squirted for extra gloppiness, double breaded for extra crunchiness. Yummy! Droopy. Lunch?
Get a 12-piece super bucket of KFC Extra Crispy for only $9.99.
There's fast food, and then there's KFC.
The new 255 horsepower Infiniti i35 with the most powerful engine in its class. Don't blink. More power, more grace, more I. The new i35 from Infiniti.
It's beautiful. Yeah. Thanks for all your help. It's my job.
Wow. Honey, can we start now?
Yes. Yes, we can.
We know how you feel, and that's why we're here. Circuit City. We're with you.
Sweetie.
Yeah, just put that anywhere.
Extra soggy, extra crispy, double squirted for extra gloppiness, double breaded for extra crunchiness. Yummy! Droopy. Lunch?
Get a 12-piece super bucket of KFC Extra Crispy for only $9.99.
There's fast food, and then there's KFC.
Welcome back, everyone, to Redbird Arena. The Redbirds leading by 1, 35-34. And Tim McCormick telling me he is a golfing fiend, folks. That means he'll be watching primetime coverage of the 2002 PGA Tour continuing on ESPN tonight at 8 Eastern with third-round coverage of the Sony Open in beautiful Hawaii. John Cook, the leader out there, by 3 strokes.
Makes it tough.
$4 million, too, they're playing for.
Makes it tough watching all this golf in Hawaii and being able to keep up on our college basketball games that we're supposed to. Turnover on the inbounds pass. Conte stepped on the line, shuffled his feet.
Rice looking inside to Boo. Strandmark from straight away. Andy Strandmark.
Beautiful coaching adjustment. Richardson has decided that to counteract the size advantage of Indiana State, he's brought Strandmark in, a little inside-out action.
I don't think you can say enough about the performance of Randy Rice either so far defensively here in the second half, Tim, with good ball pressure extending as far as three-quarter court. Here's Howard. Rebound Strandmark. There he is at the other end. Quickly Rice in the front court. Ojang threw it away. Here's Howard. And it's a block as Marcus Howard will go to the line for two.
That looked like a 7-10 split. Howard playing the role of bowling ball. Now notice, the reason this is not a charge is he went sideways. Got two guys, could have gone either way, very close call.
Marcus Howard at the line, a 75% free throw shooter. Coming off a career-high 18-point performance in a loss to Northern Iowa on Thursday. And a pretty good night today.
If you're not satisfied with the scoring numbers, his coach, Royce Waltman, calls him the best defender on the perimeter in the Valley. And you know there's some guys that can lock it up in this league.
High praise for the sophomore out of Elgin, Illinois.
I'm a little bit surprised, though. You know that the Valley is guard-driven. They have great perimeter play, but I really like what the big guys do in this game.
They've been a factor today. Ojang lost control. Here's Indiana State. Grimes. Good help that time defensively. Oh boy, Conte was posted up and they couldn't get it into him. He was working hard inside, was Jabril Conte. And Howard kind of went to him and said, hey, my bad, I'll get you next time.
There's Royce Waltman with his guys. You may think that he's a little bit frustrated with his 3-10 mark, but shared a story with Mark and I today, said that in 1967, his team won one game and lost 20. And he didn't get fired and he didn't get divorced, so he considered that a pretty good year. So nothing's going to make him too mad.
He is the human one-liner, head coach Royce Waltman. Speaking about his motion offense, he said, our motion offense, that's more like motion sickness, but nothing sick about that dunk by Avery, who has really asserted himself today. 7 of 8 from the field, 14 points, and we are knotted at 37 apiece.
I've got to disagree. I thought that dunk was sick.
In playground parlance, yeah, it was dope. Hyped. Illinois State goes back up. Howard over the midcourt line. Avery, meanwhile, with 14 in the ball game, inside to Conte. Jepson. Just missing is Sean Jepson.
Jepson plays the role of X factor on this team, capable of big nights. He exploded last time out, Mark.
Yeah, he was very active early, hitting his first shot of the ball game, but has been relatively quiet since, with just 4 points so far, averaging 10.9 on the season.
Last summer, Mark, Jepson worked at the Michael Jordan basketball camp. Had a chance to check Michael 4 or 5 different times. Said that he could not believe how big and strong Michael Jordan is. You see him with all these big guys in the NBA. You don't realize he's about 6'5", 225 or 30 pounds. And he said if Michael Jordan played in the Valley, as big as he is, he'd be the quickest guy in the league.
Jepson making like Mike, as is Strandmark with a soft outside touch. We'll be right back.
Her scent led me into the desert.
I can't believe this is really happening.
She can't resist my touch.
I love you.
Together we dance, alone in the wilderness. I am a glorious man.
Is your dandruff sending the wrong signals?
Go! Go!
No. Get Selsun Power. Doctors recommend Selsun Blue. Man, that dude's awesome. Get Selsun Power.
Rated E for everyone.
When you come to Jackson Hewitt for your taxes, you'll get a super fast refund. In fact, our typical refund is over $400 more than the average IRS refund. Call Jackson Hewitt now, 1-800-234-1040.
Brian Kenny here with an update. Oklahoma State and Iowa State. And steal here, Maurice Baker breaks away with it. Again, Iowa State, 19 straight wins at home in conference. That streak on the line as Baker nails the three. It's a 5-point game. A lot of time left in the second half. And in the SEC, Alabama and Auburn, a 2-point game, second half underway there as well. Mark?
All right, Illinois State with a 4-point advantage with 15:57 to play in the second half. The big guys, a big part of our story today, Bojang and Terrence Avery. Avery getting the surprise start. But one of the key numbers is the one at the bottom there under Bojang's name, 3 fouls. He is now on the bench. Who becomes the focal point of the offense for Illinois State now?
They have nobody else to score inside. You'd look at Jepson and say that he's got to try to get aggressive offensively, but part of the problem, Bojang also created because they would drop it into him and they get other guys involved. But they're going to have a chance to stay in this game. They need to do it on the defensive end of the court.
Foul against Indiana State. Against Marcus Howard. That's his first personal. Second team. Illinois State with a 4-point lead. We're here at Redbird Arena, Normal, Illinois. A pivotal and defining matchup for a couple of Missouri Valley Conference teams. I'm Mark Jones, along with Tim McCormick.
Couple teams that last year were in the postseason. Indiana State, NCAA success. They beat Oklahoma and then lost a difficult game versus Gonzaga. And then Illinois State played in the NIT. But the problem is that when you lose your best player, you're going to struggle.
And both these teams have been in the same situation, both losing their leading scorers and respective best players. Bryson right there on the bench and Keelan Block for Indiana State. He'll be back in a couple of weeks. Alexander, meanwhile, gets his second one to go. Greg Alexander out of Lincoln, Illinois. His dad, a high school coach at Lincoln High School.
You know who played on that team with him?
Pretty good one.
Brian Cook from Illinois.
Illinois State now up by 6. They go to Avery inside. Alexander with the rebound. Rice blocked by Grimes.
But Grimes is tough. Doesn't he know that little guys aren't supposed to be able to play up and block shots? Beautiful timing. Grimes is a physical player. Royce Waltman said that I don't necessarily love the kind of the junk that he brings in his game, but I can't argue with the fact that he's tough. He's physical, and he does a nice job for a freshman on the defensive end of the court. And growing up in Chicago, his hero and favorite player from his neighborhood, Timmy Hardaway.
Oh, out of Carver High School in Chicago.
Isn't that where Salami and the guys from the White Shadow?
Yeah, it was. Ken Howard, the coach.
That was a tough squad.
And you can watch that on ESPN Classic, by the way. Rice, meanwhile, outside. Hits the three. And the hot shooting by Illinois State starting to pick up a little bit. A 9-point advantage for the Redbirds. And the crowd comes alive.
And aren't they supposed to be struggling without Bojang in the lineup?
Well, they found an answer in Rice on that last possession. Grimes with 8 on the shot clock. Strandmark with the rebound. And Rice with the push again. The Redbirds starting to get in rhythm.
And Reed enters the game for Bojang and makes his presence felt.
Casey Reed gives the Redbirds an 11-point lead, their biggest of this contest. And Indiana State is forced to call timeout out near midcourt. The Redbirds thought they had a 5-second violation.
The Redbird spurt started on the defensive end of the court. They've got some layups, they can smell victory, and it's almost as if they've got a big shot of testosterone on that last defensive possession.
Folks, tomorrow ESPN has a full afternoon of college hoops for you. 2 Eastern, an ACC showdown. Tony Akins and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets host the dangerous backcourt of Juan Dixon and Steve Blake and number 4 Maryland. And at 4 Eastern, Eric Channing in New Mexico State visit Derek Robinson in Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers. College basketball on ESPN. For more information, log on to ESPN.com.
And that kid's sitting there thinking, I can't believe that Maryland has not won an ACC title since 1984.
They've been snake bitten. They really have at times.
And they weren't versus North Carolina the other night. They put 112 points on the Tar Heels.
Tar Heels in tough again today. Illinois State in the midst of an 11-0 scoring run. Rohrman trying to snap it. Rice again with the push. Forcing tempo. And it's an offensive foul this time.
Conte has totally been out of sync in this game. In transition, there's Rice, 94-foot athlete, perfect defensive position.
Rice really looking like he's making a concerted effort to push tempo a little bit, Tim.
At times.
Get some easy ones for a change.
At times, he doesn't look to score, and when that happens, they're going 4-on-5 on offense.
Avery still rife with confidence. Knocks that 2 down. And that snaps the scoring run. 12:45 to go. It's a 9-point lead for the Redbirds over the Sycamores. Indiana State still shooting 53% from the field. Strandmark gets it to fall. Check that, it was Ford.
Shedrick Ford, punishing guy inside. His brother Kedrick plays for Nebraska. He's a twin.
Yeah, a senior.
Not an identical twin, a fraternal twin. You look at that big, strong body. His brother's a little brother, 6'1", about 185 pounds, and he said that, boy, the two of them, they had some just killer one-on-one games. Said he'd be backing his little brother in, and the little brother would try to take him on the perimeter, but he said it helped his perimeter game a lot.
Yeah. His brother, a senior at Nebraska, averaging about 18 minutes a game. Of course, he told me that he was the better of the two twins. That's to be expected. Howard out top on Alexander. Maybe a little too quick, but they get the rebound. Here's Hayward. And an offensive foul called against Conte with an illegal screen. That's his 4th. Conte with 4 fouls in the ball game and just 2 points.
And Conte has not been a factor at all. Notice high screen and roll, big part of their offense.
And they lose 8 rebounds per game when he sits down, too.
Expect a lot of patience now.
Alexander, good look inside to Ford, working hard. Rebound, Strandmark. Howard with a strong pull. Matisse Haywood out top. Gorman's been quiet today. Avery with a jump hook. He is working the paint like a part-time job. Terrence Avery and 1.
Let me offer a little pro and con here for you. Indiana State, you get a little bit concerned because you think they're down by 10 and they're not a high-scoring team. They're not prone to making big comebacks. But on the other side, you can have a little hope because Illinois State, they've been consistently having droughts on offense throughout this season. So I don't know, what do you think?
Well, one thing that is a concern for the Redbirds is their ability to close games out. They were unable to close it out on Thursday night in a loss against Drake. See if they can shake that hangover tonight. Reed to Bojang. Ford working hard inside, and there's a foul in the paint. You know, every year, Tim, you hear officials and the officiating committee talk about points of emphasis and cutting down on the rough play in the paint. I think this year it's actually worked. Seems to be a little bit effective anyway. But Illinois State with a 10-point lead. We have a timeout on the floor. Head coach Royce Waltman looking to press the right button and stop the Redbirds when we come back.
Courtesy of Twin City.
Pretty high-tech stuff, huh? These dishes send TV programs through your cable. And the latest thing, digital cable. You think you can only get lots of new channels from one of those little satellite dishes on your roof? You get all kinds of new channels right through the cable you already have. People think they need a satellite dish. They've already got lots of them.
You're in control with in-demand pay-per-view from AT&T Broadband.
Coach Izzo and College Hoops Tonight's Chris Fowler firmly remind know-it-all Paul to watch College Hoops Tonight and actually know it all when it comes to his team. Team! That's right, little fella. Remember, to know is to love.
Big Monday's a big night, and the Joey T shuttle will get you there.
Preston Shumpert and the Cubes take on the Irish. Then Bobby Knight's Raiders tangle with the Longhorns. Big Monday, presented by Bud Light. Coverage begins at 7 Monday on ESPN.
Brian Kenny here with an update. Alabama has won 8 in a row. They're the ranked team, but this is Auburn at Auburn, and here's Adam Harrington. Spots up, knocks down a 3, and right now Tigers 0-2 in the SEC have a 4-point lead in the second half. Mark?
Yeah, Brian, Auburn looking for its first conference victory. Earlier today, Mississippi State, boy, they have struggled since that win against Kentucky, losing to Rod Barnes' Ole Miss team.
I can make a lot of arguments why the best conference this year is the SEC. Alabama, nice collection of athletes, but it's Mo Williams, their point guard, that really makes them a special team.
Back here, Illinois State leading the Sycamores 51-41 with 11:22 to play in the second half. And a steal by Haywood. And he converts. Batiste Haywood with his first field goal. He has 2. The lead is down to 8. Tim, this is the type of tempo and the type of game where an 8-point lead almost seems larger than 8 points, doesn't it?
I would double it, because in a game of, let's say, for instance, they're going to run the shot clock down. You could basically add an extra 5 minutes in this game, as opposed to a game like Alabama-Auburn. Alabama-Auburn, they're going up and down. You get some threes going. These are not good three-point shooting teams.
Bojang fouled on his foray to the basket. He has been held scoreless so far in nearly 10 minutes here in the second half. He had 13 in the first 20 minutes of play. Bojang out of Gambia, that's in West Africa. He's had an interesting journey into NCAA basketball. Lived in Gambia, moved to London, England. His father runs a merchandising company in Gambia, then moved back to Gambia, began to see NCAA college basketball on the highlights overseas on CNN International. Said, hey, you know what, I'm going to try this game, and got into some league play over there. And he said it started playing with some of the American tourists that would come over, and he liked it, and that was his mission ever since, to play.
Like Olajuwon and a lot of other players from Africa, grew up playing soccer, and that's why his footwork is so good.
And good footwork on the backdoor play that time by Indiana State and Jake Sams.
Yeah, that looked like a Steve Alford back cut at Indiana during the day.
Indiana State, the Sycamores shooting 56% from the field. The Redbirds have a lead, 53-45. As we approach 10 minutes to play in the second half. I'm Mark Jones along with Tim McCormick. Green off the mark. Ojan working hard inside.
That's the reason that Illinois State is winning this game on that play right there. It completely typifies what they've done, and that's dominate the offensive glass. They have 17, count them, 17 offensive rebounds. That's amazing.
That's huge. There's a look at the discrepancy in rebounding in the second half, especially. Illinois State controlling the glass here in the second 20 minutes.
Yeah, I thought that Indiana State was the better rebounding team coming in, and this is amazing as well. Indiana State has shot the ball exceptionally well, 54% from the game. However, they're down because of the rebounding.
Ford with that last bucket for Illinois State. Ford with 9 in the ball game, a quiet 9. The lead is back up to 10. Bit of a force that time by Baptiste Haywood, and it's Illinois State ball.
Do you get the sense that the Sycamores would, in this situation, be looking for Keelan Block to take over the game? He's their leading scorer, but he's nowhere to be seen. He's got that injured knee, and that's really hurt their team.
Saw him walking around a little bit earlier today. And a nice move to the hoop. Jepson with the left hand able to convert, and it's a 12-point advantage for the Redbirds.
It's good to see the seniors taking up here for the Redbirds.
Out of bounds, it'll be Sycamore ball as Conte checks back into the game with 4 fouls. I guess Coach Royce Waltman not with much choice left, huh?
No, he's
got to bring him back.
Hey, at this point, 9 minutes to go. You're down 12. Nothing's happening on the offensive end.
Batiste out front. Sam's looking inside to Conte. You know what? When a big guy works that hard to get open and make himself big inside, I'm preaching to the choir on this one.
Please.
You've got to give him the ball.
Amen. You know, the reason it's so important, if you get big and demand the ball, you know, everybody in the house is saying, look at my man 3 down there. He wants the ball. Why aren't those little guys giving it to him?
Conte at the line, and this is the bane of Jabril Conte, the free throw stripe. He is a 49% free throw shooter.
His high school teammate, Queth Duaney from Syracuse, won the state title in Bloomington.
And Ford can finger roll. This thing dangerously getting away from the Sycamores now. They trail by 14 points with 8.5 minutes to play. Howard. Sams for 3. Howard with the rebound and the putback. Marcus Howard with 11 points in the ball game. Here's Green. Indiana State looking to snap a 6-game losing streak against Indiana State. Illinois State is. And a loose ball foul against Indiana State. Hey folks, tomorrow ABC's coverage of the State Farm U.S. Figure Skating Championships continuing from the Staples Center in Los Angeles. Last chance for America's most talented ladies to qualify for the U.S. team in Salt Lake City. That's tomorrow, 3 Eastern, 2 Pacific on ABC.
Yeah, we were talking about Todd Eldridge earlier.
Some great stories emerging from those championships.
Talking about big comebacks.
Yeah. Hey, life continues for some of the older folks, huh? A 12-point lead for Illinois State. Sam's at the line. And once again, they missed the front end.
Possibly worth revisiting. Indiana State is the worst free throw shooting team in the Valley, around 62%.
Here's Reed out top. Nothing but strings. Casey Reed out of Las Vegas, Nevada. They are now 3 for 9 from 3-point range. Gorman, they swing it around. Conte still working hard in the low post.
Earlier, I had mentioned that Indiana State plays a lot like Tony Dungy's Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If the Bucs have the same kind of performance, doesn't look good for him, does it?
No, it doesn't. He might be seeking unemployment checks. Here's Rice. And Illinois State can probably afford at this point not to take themselves out of their offensive flow, but be very discerning on offense as Jepson throws up a three and nails it. So much for patience. Sean Jepson with the three. And Jepson has now got 11 in the game. Foul on Rice.
Jepson has really had a tough year. The reason last season as a support player, everybody's best defender would cover Tyrese Bryson. But this year, the top of the scouting report guy has been Jepson, so he's always going to face the other team's best stopper. It's a big adjustment for him.
And there's a look at Bryson, out for the season with a dislocated wrist, as we mentioned earlier. It was suffered in the first game of the season, just 22 minutes in against Weber State.
That's a sick injury, too.
Oh.
Very tough to come back from.
Batiste Haywood at the line for the Sycamores. And for the third consecutive time, they missed the front end at the strike. Rice. Got to finish on those.
You know, if he makes that shot, I'm close to saying game over. Just watching the energy level of both teams, what I see is that Indiana State just has no ability to score on offense using their basic sets. It's got to come off garbage like that.
Haywood with the garbage pickup, but he'll take it nonetheless. The lead is 15 as we approach 6 minutes to play. Jepson looking for a second three in a row off the mark. Indiana State's got to try and push just a little bit, you would think, with under 6 minutes to go.
And I know Jepson's feeling, I can't call that a good shot. It looked quick to me. This is a possession right here where you say, let's keep them on the defensive end for a good 25, 30 seconds.
Inside to Ford with the fadeaway. Rebound Broerman.
It's not a good shot.
Indiana State.
Mark, another reason why you milk the clock, because Bojang is out of the game. He's your best player.
Getting some valuable rest right now with 3 fouls. And boy, this has been a day to remember for Terrence Avery. Knocks it down. He's 10 of 13 from the field. Total of 20 points. He is the game's high scorer as the Redbirds lead the Sycamores by 13 with 5:12 to go in the second half.
Some good stories in the Missouri Valley Conference this year. Northern Iowa and Southern Illinois have been the cream of the crop. Indiana State and Illinois State were preseason favorites, but because of the injuries, they have faltered.
The one thing, if you're in the Missouri Valley Conference, and we haven't talked about it yet, is I'm not sure that you want to be honored on the all-conference preseason team. It's almost turned into a jinx. Bryson suffering the wrist injury, block out with the knee for a few weeks. Kyle Korver from Creighton suffered a knee injury earlier, and Williams and Sieverding of Northern Iowa probably a little leery right now.
And the other thing that has been a point of significance is that they had such great point guard play last year and lost those guys to graduation. Menser was the stud for Illinois State last year, and he graduated.
Meanwhile, Indiana State calling a timeout. The Sycamores trying to rebound, coming into this game just 3-10 overall. They were 22-10 2 years ago and 22-12 last season. And folks, tomorrow ESPN has a full afternoon of college hoops for you. 2 Eastern, an ACC showdown. Tony Akins and Georgia Tech host the dangerous backcourt of Juan Dixon and Steve Blake and number 4 Maryland. And at 4 Eastern, Eric Channing and New Mexico State take on Derek Robinson in Western Kentucky. That's at 4 Eastern time. College basketball on ESPN. And this game today, a game for people of all ages.
Mark, I mentioned that Menser played for Illinois State. I misspoke. He was with Indiana State, one of the great point guards last year, led the NCAA in assist turnover ratio.
This has been a league historically over the last little while anyway that has had some really prolific guards. Rice looking inside. Bojang back in the ball game. Conte with the rebound. Bojang has had a relatively quiet second half after 13 points in the first half. just 2 in the second half, but they were able to keep close and actually extend their lead with him on the bench. Way off the mark is Berry. Not a great shot, but then again, their perimeter shooting isn't one of their strengths.
No, if you're down 13, how are you going to come back? You've got to make threes, but the Sycamores do not shoot well from deep.
Out of the double team, a nice pass by Bojang to a cutting Strandmark. That's the skill you alluded to earlier, Tim McCormick, when you said that Bojang liked his new challenge of passing out of the double team.
Strandmark has 8 points. Unexpected scoring contribution from your big man off the bench.
Foul outside on the play.
Bonus. 1-1, guys. Bonus.
Yeah. A quarterback in the pocket goes through his progressions. Notice the defense. You see what's out there and cutting to the basket. That's a beautiful timing play.
Andy Strandmark battling that stress factor, but looking very healthy today. Berry at the line, meanwhile, 1 of 5 from the field today. Just 2 points on the afternoon.
You know who Indiana State could use?
Not Shaquille O'Neal from the free throw line.
How about one of their former players, Larry Bird?
Oh, yeah, nearly a 90% free throw shooter for his pro career.
And there's many areas that Larry Bird could have helped this team today, besides the foul line.
Larry Bird and one of my old favorites have played on that team, Carl Nix.
Yes.
Played for the Toronto Tornadoes up in the old CBA.
And as long as we're going into the history banks,
Keep
what
going
about
for me.
Doug Collins from Illinois State? Tyrese Bryson was on the way to becoming the all-time leading scorer. Doug Collins with his number retired here.
Doug Collins, a good relationship with the Redbirds head coach Tom Richardson. And Richardson's team is firing on all cylinders right now, offensively and defensively. The Redbirds with a 68-51 lead with 3.5 minutes to go. Howard off the mark. Rebound Redbirds. Bojang.
17-point lead in this game is the equivalent of 25-point game in an up-tempo game.
Not that many possessions. Fewer possessions for both teams respectively. Each one being important. And we have a timeout on the floor. The Redbirds leading the Sycamores 68-51. And what would Larry Legend think of the Sycamores? Well, he'd probably send him to the shot doctor or come visit himself, get him at the line and do a little work. We'll be right back.
Her scent led me into the desert.
I can't believe this is really happening.
She can't resist my touch. Together we dance, alone in the wilderness. I am a glorious man.
When you come to Jackson Hewitt for your taxes, you'll get a super fast refund. In fact, our typical refund is over $400 more than the average IRS refund. Call Jackson Hewitt now, 1-800-234-1040.
Call Domino's for a free order of oven-fresh Cinnasticks when you buy any large one-topping pizza for $9.99. Sprinkled with cinnamon sugar and served with creamy icing, they're tough to resist. So call now, because at Domino's, we've got the dinner thing covered. Get the door. It's Domino's.
ESPN2's exclusive presentation of NCAA basketball is brought to you by Toyota. Get the feeling.
Welcome back, everyone, to Redbird Arena. Mark Jones along with Tim McCormick. Redbirds leading the Sycamores 68-51 with 3:05 to play in the second half. When you speak Indiana State, hey, we go back in the time machine and back to an era that really gave birth to the popularity, Tim McCormick, of college basketball. Bird against Magic, polar opposites in so many ways, but one commonality: talent.
And that was the most watched championship game of all time. Larry Bird did some great work, but it was Magic Johnson and Greg Kelser, Ron Charles, Terry Donnelly, and all of the great Michigan State Spartans that won that championship.
Mike Berkovich.
How about Terry Shoes Huffman?
Yep.
Wasn't it Al McGuire that penned that one because he lost his shoe? And, you know, I would think that she's probably very depressed, the little girl we saw there.
Indiana State's fortunes continuing to sink on the season.
It's okay, little girl. But they'll bounce back.
Through it all, Tim, Royce Waltman remains pretty upbeat on the whole. I mean, when you talk about coaches and the sometimes manic lifestyle that they sometimes are forced to exist in, he was very upbeat when we had a chance to visit with him. Tom Richardson, meanwhile, on the other side of the ledger for the Redbirds, saying that he tries to have a little bit of balance in his life. Foul on the play against the Redbirds as Batiste Haywood would go to the line.
Haywood's been pretty solid today. I like the way he plays. He has nice athleticism.
Richardson, I was talking about the manic lifestyle of coaches. Richardson, good friends with the guy we mentioned going to break a few moments ago, Doug Collins, the coach of the Wizards, and Collins was advising Coach Richardson, they're good friends, says that try and keep a little balance in your life. And coming from Doug, that sounds a little strange, doesn't it, Tim?
Yeah, like Doug Collins is an expert in stress management. Doug Collins is not a type A personality. He's type A+.
And it's out of bounds. We have a break in the action with 2:45 to play in the second half. The Redbirds looking to snap that 6-game losing streak against Indiana State.
The Toyota 4Runner can take you places other vehicles can't, which could necessitate bringing along some additional equipment.
Moo. Now's a great time to go 1-800-GATEWAY because right now you can save $100 on great PCs like the Gateway 300S desktop. It comes loaded with an Intel Celeron processor and CD burner for only $7.99 after a $100 mail-in rebate, or check out the lightweight Solo 1400 notebook. It's only $9.99 after a $100 mail-in rebate. These amazing deals won't last long, so call 1-800-GATEWAY. Hurry, offer ends soon.
Presenting the first women's bobsled event in Olympic history.
This happens in competition. He's toast.
And while they'll do whatever it takes to win, all it takes to see it is your Visa card. The only card accepted at the Olympic Winter Games.
Illinois State with a 68-52 lead with 2:45 to play. Mark Jones courtside along with Tim McCormick. Tim, good balance, one of the storylines today for the Redbirds. 4 players in double figures. It started with the guy in the middle, Bojang.
And I believe that they can build on this. The rebounding has been very significant. They're plus 17 on the glass, and that's been a major concern for this team. So they continue to pound the boards. If you rebound, you get extra shot attempts and inefficient offense, and all those flaws get hidden.
Illinois State with a game coming up Wednesday at Creighton in Omaha, Nebraska. Inside, Conte kicks it out nicely to Avery. And one of the few misses today for Terrence Avery. Now 10 of 14 from the field. But that's one of the bright spots that head coach Royce Weltman can draw out of this game for the Sycamores, is to play the big guy in the middle.
Not only that, but the poise of his young guards as well. I like the fact that Conte and Avery are a very strong group inside. Now, Conte did not play well. He didn't adjust to having another big guy in the lineup. But if you get the two-headed monster in there, well, that's a tough thing to deal with.
Batiste inside, missing the layup. Conte with the putback.
There you go.
1:50 to go. 68-54.
It is a big adjustment for Indiana State because Conte or Avery were always in the game, one or the other. This is the first time in quite a while that they've shared the post. Notice a little change in strategy. The Redbirds knowing that the clock is their friend, not afraid to milk the clock, get it down under 10.
Really spreading the floor. Alexander from the corner. And Conte with the rebound. Haywood over the midcourt line. Howard on a nice cut off the curl. You know, that just must be fatigue or lack of concentration. He had an open look. It's Illinois State's possession. And Bojang will probably call it a day. He'll take a seat, and he leaves with 15 points to go along with 10 rebounds.
Can I tell you about the importance, as Tom Richardson talks to Rice, of Tyrese Bryson? With him playing this year, they are the best team in the Valley. They are expected to go to the NCAA. They probably have a chance to win games the way this team is made up. Without him, they are 3 wins, 10 losses. They will be 4 wins and 10 losses after this game. That's how good and how important that guy is to your attack.
Richardson, meanwhile, his team looking for their 7th win of the season. Check that 6th win of the season. As we now go under a minute to play. Williams out top. Last year, Illinois State going 21-9. Lost to Purdue in the first round of the NIT. Speaking with some of the players prior to the game, they still have hopes of a postseason berth, despite the fact that they're under 500 at the moment. Nice cut inside. Casey Reed can't finish. And a foul inside. Don't forget, folks, coming up next, the top of the hour, women's soccer action for you on ESPN2 as USA takes on Mexico. That's coming up next.
So what do you think? Will that be a good game, Mark?
Well, you know what? I like the fact that the U.S. women's soccer team, I'm told now, have gone to moving an extra attacker into the midfield area.
Yeah, well, you know, Mexico, their strength, though, is being able to take that away.
You're just killing me, man. It all started with Todd Eldridge. It finishes with women's soccer, and at the line right now, it's Terrence Avery with the meter running at 21 points.
Guys capable of scoring. How do you like this offensive outburst versus Eastern Illinois earlier this year? He had 29 points and 12 rebounds.
It's just a matter of capturing some semblance of consistency, and if Royce Waltman could put this in a box today and package it, be good things for the future for the Sycamores, at least for the rest of the season. Casey Reed in the front court. Shot clock is off. And Indiana State will earn their 2nd conference victory of the season. Our final score is 68-56. The Redbirds over the Sycamores. And that's it from Redbird Arena. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Stay tuned for the USA women's soccer game against Mexico. That's coming up next at the top of the hour. For Tim McCormick, this is Mark Jones.